Something is moving right now that most people will never see until it's too late, not because the information is hidden, because they're not looking in the right direction. While everyone is watching the stock market, watching the news, watching their 401k numbers flicker on a screen, something else is happening. Something quiet, something massive. And if you understand what it is, you're already ahead of 90% of the people around you. Let's talk about what's actually going on. Right now, as you listen to this, a carrier group is moving through the waters near Iran. That's not a rumor. That's not speculation. That is hardware. Real ships, real weapons, real intention. You don't move that kind of military force for a press release. You don't deploy a carrier group to send a diplomatic message. That is preparation. And the people who understand what that preparation means for your money are already making moves. Every single time in history that military tension has escalated in the Middle East, one thing has happened without exception. Gold and silver go up. Every time. Not sometimes. Every time. Because when the world gets uncertain, people stop trusting paper. They stop trusting promises. They reach for something real, something that has been real for 5,000 years. And that thing is metal. Now here's what's different this time. Silver already hit $120 an ounce. You heard that right? $120. Not some prediction. Not some fantasy number from a newsletter. That already happened. And right now, silver has pulled back. Right now you can get silver at $76 an ounce. That's a discount of over $40 from where it just was. Think about what that means. People who bought silver at $80 were kicking themselves when it hit $120. And now it's sitting below $80 again. That's the second chance you thought you missed. It's sitting right here. Here's the thing about precious metals that the system never wants you to understand. They thrive on bad news. When everything is calm, metals sit quietly. But when the world cracks, when trust breaks, when currencies wobble, metals explode. And right now, every single condition for that explosion is lining up simultaneously. Geopolitical tension at a level we haven't seen in years. A new Fed chair coming in, already shaking confidence. A global economy built on debt that cannot sustain itself. And military assets moving in the Middle East. This is not one trigger. This is every trigger at once. Let's talk about gold for a second. Gold is sitting near $4,187 an ounce right now. People who laughed at $2,000 gold are silent. People who said $3,000 was impossible are now watching it from the wrong side of the trade. And serious analysts, people who have studied these cycles their entire careers, are talking about $5,400, $5,600, even $6,000 gold. And here's why that number matters to you, even if you can't afford gold. Because when gold hits $6,000, silver doesn't sit still. Silver follows gold. It always has. A move in gold to $6,000 pulls silver with it. We're talking $100 silver, maybe $150. And that move does not take years. It can happen in days. We've seen it happen in days. When the geopolitical trigger gets pulled, these numbers move fast, very fast. Now let's zoom out for a moment because the carrier group is just one piece of this. Think about what silver actually is. Not just a monetary metal, not just something you stack in a safe. Silver is the most electrically conductive metal on Earth. It goes into everything. Weapon systems, missiles, solar panels, EV batteries, AI data centers. 10 years ago, nobody was building AI data centers. Now they're going up everywhere, and every single one of them uses silver. The demand for silver is growing from directions that didn't even exist a decade ago, and the supply hasn't kept up. That's not an opinion. That's industrial reality. Meanwhile, look at the pricing relationship between the metals. Gold is nearly $5,000 an ounce. Platinum is $2,147. Palladium is $1,161. And silver? Silver is still under $100 an ounce. Silver. The metal that goes into more industrial applications than any of them. The metal used in the weapons being loaded onto those carrier groups right now. The metal used in every piece of advanced technology being built today. Under $100 an ounce. Does that math make sense to you? Because it shouldn't. And that gap, that pricing gap between what silver is worth and what silver costs, that is the trade hiding in plain sight. Here's something older than any of this. There's a story that keeps getting told in coin shops across this country. A woman comes in to sell some jewelry. And she says her grandfather was from Russia. He lived through wars, real wars. Wars where food disappeared, where the government disappeared, where everything normal collapsed overnight. And the one thing he told her, the one thing he held on to, was gold. He said gold saved his life. Not stocks, not savings accounts, not promises from a government. Gold. That man understood something about wealth that most people today have been trained to forget. Real wealth is not a number on a screen. Real wealth is something you can hold, something no government can print, something no bank can freeze, something that retains its power when everything else fails. And you don't have to believe in doom to believe in that. You just have to look at history. Venezuela, Germany in the 1920s, Argentina, Russia. Every time a currency has collapsed, the people who held metal survived. The people who held paper suffered. That pattern has never broken, not once in recorded history. Now let's bring this back to right now, because this isn't about preparing for collapse. This isn't gloom and doom. This is about understanding a wealth transfer that is already happening right now. While most people are distracted, silver hit $120. It pulled back to $76. Constitutional silver, the old pre-1965 dimes and quarters that were made from 90% real silver, is selling at or near spot price. That means you can get actual silver, real silver, for the lowest premium available. Mercury dimes, Roosevelt dimes, Washington quarters. These are not collectibles sitting behind glass. These are silver. And right now, people are buying them faster than shops can keep them stocked. Stores are running low on quarters. Dimes are flying out the door. That's not hype. That's what's happening on the ground in real shops right now. And when demand outpaces supply at the retail level, what happens next is not a mystery. Here's what the people who buy when it's uncomfortable and hold when everyone else panics understand. Price is not the same as value. When silver was at $120, everyone wanted it. When silver drops back to $76, the same people who wanted it at $120 get nervous and step back. That's backwards. The value didn't change, the price changed, and a lower price on the same value is called a discount. The fundamentals that pushed silver to $120 are still there. The industrial demand is still there. The geopolitical tension is still there and getting louder. The monetary pressure on every currency on Earth is still there. Nothing about the reason to own silver has changed. Only the price tag is different, and the price tag is lower. Platinum is the quiet mover that nobody talks about. A year ago, platinum was sitting below $900 an ounce. Now it's over $2,000. It more than doubled without making headlines, without anyone screaming about it on channels. It just quietly moved. That's what happens when a metal is 32 times rarer than gold and still priced below gold. That gap has to close eventually. And when it does, the people who were already there will have been the quiet ones who saw it coming. You know what you call the platinum card. You know that it's above gold in prestige. That's because for a long time in history, platinum actually was worth more than gold. The world hasn't forgotten that. The pricing has just gotten out of sync. And markets that get out of sync eventually find their way back to where they belong. But let's be direct. For most people, silver is the vehicle, because silver is still under $100 an ounce. You can buy 20 mercury dimes for $100. You can hold real money in the palm of your hand for the price of a dinner out. That accessibility matters. The older generation, who grew up spending silver dimes and quarters, understand this intuitively. They know what it feels like to hold money that has actual substance. The younger generation is starting to figure it out. The shops are full of both. The demand is building from both ends of the age spectrum, and the supply is finite. Think about the coin that just dropped. The first ever 5-ounce silver maple leaf from the Royal Canadian Mint. That's not a random product launch. The Royal Canadian Mint does not release something for the first time ever without understanding exactly where the market is. They see the same data. They see the demand building. They see the geopolitical environment. And they chose right now to release a historic format for the first time in history. You don't have to believe any single analyst to read that signal. Just watch what the institutions do. And that brings us back to where we started. The carrier group is moving. The evacuation orders have gone out for U.S. citizens. Negotiations that cannot succeed are being held publicly while the military moves quietly. You don't move that hardware for nothing. Something is going to happen. And when it does, the metals market is going to move in a direction we've seen it move every single time before. Up, hard, fast. And the people who were already positioned will watch it happen with calm. The people who were waiting for a better signal will be scrambling to get in at a much higher price. History does not repeat perfectly, but it rhymes so closely you can almost sing along. Every major conflict, every currency crisis, every moment of real institutional uncertainty, the people who held metal came out ahead, not because they were lucky, because they were paying attention when everyone else was distracted. Gold at $6,000 is not a fantasy. It's a math problem. It's a trajectory based on everything we can see right now. And if gold gets to $6,000, silver at $150 is not aggressive. It's conservative. That's a move from $76 to $150 on something you can buy today, on something that is sitting at a discount right now because the market is catching its breath before the next move. The grandfather who held gold through Russian wars wasn't a financial genius. He was a man who understood that when everything else becomes uncertain, real things hold their value. That's not a complicated insight. It's one of the oldest truths in human history, and it keeps proving itself right, decade after decade, crisis after crisis, currency after currency. Right now, you're either building that position or you're not. There's no middle ground that doesn't reveal a choice. Every week you watch and wait is a week that metal either gets cheaper, which is an opportunity, or gets more expensive, which is a signal you waited too long. Both of those realities are trying to tell you the same thing. The window does not stay open forever. The carrier group is already moving. The signals are already in motion. The wealth transfer is already happening quietly while the noise covers it. You can act on what you see, or you can watch from the outside when the move is already done. That's the only decision left.